Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a comparison between this 997 Turbo and my new Evora S. Now they're probably not natural competitors as such. Well, the Evora is a competitor for the 911, but this 997 Turbo is in a different league power-wise really. It's got about another, this has got chipped as well, so it's putting out I think 550 horsepower, which is about 200 more than my 350 horsepower Evora, but we don't really need to concentrate on that. I'm going to not really looking at differences in speed and so on, but more just the way they feel, what they're like as cars, and how close an Evora, which is supposed to be a 911 competitor, actually gets to being a 911 competitor. So going to take them out, give them a little thrash, see how they handle, see how they feel. So far, I'm really liking my Evora. A 997 Turbo I've never driven. I drove a 996 and that felt a little bit anodyne to me. The GT3 was epic. I think in the 997s, they actually sharpened that up a little bit and gave a bit more feel. So I'm expecting this to feel a bit better than the 996 Turbo that I drove. But it's going to make for a really interesting comparison. Price-wise, car like this, which is a 2011 with 20,000 miles, was advertised at 36k, so which is actually a pretty good price, I think, at 36k. These really, I think you're going to be looking at 50k minimum, 40, well no, maybe 45k, something like that. So the 997 is more expensive. Let's go. So Metin said, put it into sport and then take the PASM, the damping, the stiff damping off, which I've done. So we're good to go. This has a fruity exhaust on it and it immediately makes a difference. It's incredible what engine sound just changes everything. And straight away, I'm completely at home in this car. Like 911s are just amazing. You just get in, everything falls to hand. It's the polar opposite to the Evora. I like the interior of the Evora. It's nice. It's an individual thing. But the ergonomics are just absolutely awful. Whereas in this, you can see all the buttons. You know pretty much where everything is. Everything is where you expect it to be. It feels solid. Just typical Porsche 911. Steering is light but tactile. Definitely got some pace, this car. According to Metin, it's got 550 horsepower. The chassis feels very tight, very controlled. I'm pretty impressed. Steers very well. It's really got some mid-range shunt. It's so good. Ooh. Just so misleading. You don't feel like you're going that quick, then you look at the clock and you see, wow, gear change is really good. It's tight, it's short, lovely. Definitely better than the Evoras. The Evoras isn't bad. It's just incredible that on a little country road like this and so bumpy, this is so good. So fast. I think it's definitely a little bit better than a 996 Turbo in terms of giving you a little bit more feel and being a little bit more fun. The one thing that lets it down slightly, I think, and is just the turbocharged engine. Although it's got loads of poke, it is a little bit characterless, you know, like many turbos. It doesn't actually feel like a four-wheel drive car. The front is really nice and light and feels some. And, you know, that's a really good thing. I'm surprised that they've managed to do that. You still get a nice sort of balance between the front and the back of the car. Mightily impressive, but you don't have to work very hard for it. It kind of does everything for you, but it doesn't mean it's not fun. It's just a different way of traveling, and it's a very fast way of traveling. As a point-to-point car, I think this must be the quickest thing I've driven. It's just so capable, so quick. Something else, obviously, the 997 has going for it in comparison to the Lotus is the solidity. The Evora is actually better in many ways than I was expecting, but all the same, you know, what I'm most surprised about is just that you get a little bit of feel from the rear. Not that it's coming out, but you can feel the rear pivoting with the rest of the car. As a four-wheel drive system, it's brilliant. Really good. You know, it doesn't sort of dull the sensors as it does in some other cars. It feels very, very well balanced between front and rear. A little bit. The brakes are probably the weak point for me. They could definitely do with being a bit stronger. So my preconceptions were that this was going to be a bit boring to drive, awesomely fast, but not that much fun. And I'm wrong, actually. It's a good car and it's fun. I'm going to get into the Evora now and see how that feels after this monster. It's certainly a lot slower. So totally chalk and cheese. In every way. The seating position is different, it's much lower, it's more laid back. The drivetrain is much slacker. The gear change, which feels alright in isolation, after the 997, it feels quite notchy, a bit too long, a bit slow and a bit reluctant. So on its own it's okay. Put your foot down and it goes. But yeah, nothing like as quick as that 997, poles apart. I quite like this power plant though. It's really smooth and it likes to rev as well. The 997 had that big grunt of torque, but there wasn't much point revving it out. Whereas this pulls all the way through the rev range. The way this car turns as well is just simply delicious. Like lots of Lotuses, there's just a real delicacy about it. They really couldn't be more different. Both great cars in their own different ways. What's really quite nice about the Evora as well, you've got those two haunches up at the front there and you're sort of low down right in the middle. So it really feels like you're like in a little really mini supercar or something. It's a nice place to be. Oh, it's lovely. Such great feel as well coming in from the back of the car. Although it's actually not that light because it's about 1400 kilos. It feels light, it's light on its feet. The way it just approaches bumps is mesmerizing, it's amazing. It's not that it completely absorbs them, it's just the way it kind of, it doesn't make them unpleasant.
hard to describe really. Anyway, it's very, very good on that side. Oh. Wow. The more I'm going to get to know this car, I think, the more I'm going to like it. Brakes are great. Really very, very strong. Heel and towing is still fun in this, even though it's a blown engine, but it is supercharged. Whereas in the 997 there's really no point in rev matching or anything like that. It is responsive enough to do it, but it just doesn't feel right. In this, it does. Wow, what a great car. They're really so different. You can't really compare them. The 911 is more usable day to day, mainly because it's got proper visibility at the back. This is a pain in the arse to reverse. I've got reversing camera on there, but still, it's a bit of a faff and a bit of a pain. You can't really see what you're doing. You have to concentrate. It's probably the most stressful thing about the car is visibility. It's fine out the front screen and the sides, but at the back, no good. The 997 is small. I don't know if this is wider or not. It feels like it's wider, but maybe it isn't. I don't know on that. 997 will be more reliable, more usable. These, having said that, I think, you know, with the Toyota engine and everything else, they're not bad, but there are little issues. For example, I'm still not 100% sure if I've got to the bottom of that water ingress leak that I had in that front pad. It doesn't seem to be coming in from the door, but the pad was wet again a little bit before. And I don't know if that's maybe because it's coming from somewhere else, or if it was leftover water in the footwell, because there was a lot in there. So I need to find out about that. I can't come up with a winner at the moment, I'm afraid. What I will say is I do prefer this to the 997 just because it's different. 997s are quite common. Just because it's a really different car. The driving experience is even more special, and I like the way it looks and everything else. And the 997 is a bit more of a common car that's around the whole time, but in terms of ability there isn't a huge amount in it. And you know, I could see anyone, you know, with the merits of each. For the money for this, you would probably be getting a 996 turbo, and I have to say, in that I wouldn't do that. I love 996s generally, but the turbo I find a bit too anodyne, whereas the 997 definitely feels a little bit sharper.
It's a few days after filming, and just a little break here because I was reviewing the video and I realised that I hadn't really explained myself that well. In terms of pure ability, of course the 997 turbo is well above the Evora. It's just plainly faster, and it does make this feel like a little bit of a toy. But the point I was trying to make is simply that in terms of actual driving pleasure, I don't think this is far off. It's different. It doesn't quite have the same grunt, but you have to sort of push it more to exploit it. And it's just that it feels like a more special car because it's not as common, because it's mid-engined, because of the architecture and everything else. So yes, if you take it really rationally, the 997 is a more, you know, is a better car. But for me personally, the Evora is the one I would go for. Having said that, I am very impressed by the 997 as well. Back to the video.
Thank you everyone for watching. Please keep an eye out on the channel. Let me know what you think. Which one of these two would you have? What do you prefer? I know Porsche people are massively loyal, so I know what they're going to say. But anyway, just let me know what you think. And see you for the next one.